today we're talking about healthy relationships. That's right. You and I can have a healthy relationship. And if you're in a healthy relationship, then of course, the one thing that it teaches you is, when people say, this is who I am, take it or leave it. But that's not really true. When you genuinely love a person, you're going to work on those negative and toxic traits. That's right. That's exactly what you're going to do. You want to enhance that relationship. So, what do? Well, you learn to communicate, you learn to listen to each other's feelings, your thoughts, and your emotions. That is, of course, the secret of a great relationship. You learn to communicate. It was James who said this: be quick to hear, slow to speak, and slow to anger. So when you are in a healthy relationship, you understand that the person that you're involved with is important. And you also make it your interest, of course, and your goal and aim to, of course, understand that person to the best of your ability. I've been watching some, different TikTok and Facebook and social media different videos. There's this one guy who basically is giving relational advice, and every time he says something, he then closes the door because his wife all of a sudden is throwing something at the door. Now, of course, it's designed to be humorous, but the reality of the situation is, when you are in a relationship, you don't just say to the person, hey, this is who I am, take it or leave it. You understand that relationship is all about give and take. It's all about trying to understand the other person and working towards improving that relationship every single day. Now, I'm not going to say that you're always going to be successful. I'm not saying that you're always not going to make mistakes, because that is, of course, what relationships are all about. I love this one particular saying that I saw, and it was simply like this: marriage and relationship is two imperfect people seeing the perfection in the other person. And that is absolutely true. I remember when I was getting married, and my wife was walking down the aisle. My wife is a very tall, 5'8" blonde beauty. And she looked like Farrah Fawcett when she was that age. In fact, many people said that my wife looked like Farrah Fawcett during the 1970s, because she had this beautiful blonde hair, and she was quite tall, quite statuesque looking, and she still is very, very beautiful. But I remember when she was walking down the aisle in her beautiful white dress, and I looked at myself and I said, how in heaven's name did I capture such a beautiful lady? My wife is, of course, not just beautiful on the outside, she's also beautiful on the inside as well. Now, of course, we've been married now for quite a long time. And every once in a while, when I'm feeling a bit, how could she say that or do that? What I do is I have this picture sitting on my nightstand. It's of us in our 25th anniversary, and also our wedding picture. And I look at that, and then I realize that, she took me for better, for worse. I know that I'd have, certain habits and certain foibles and certain faults and failures, but she took me the way that I was, just like I took her the way that she was. So you see, when you say, this is who I am, take it or leave it, you really don't understand love. Because when you genuinely love someone, you work on those negative and toxic traits. You want to learn to communicate. You want to listen to each other's feelings, thoughts and emotions. And actually, after a while, you begin to understand each other a little bit better. I remember when all of a sudden my wife and I started thinking along the same lines. And I said, honey, do you realize that you're becoming weird like me? And she said, yeah, it's a scary thought. You see, being with the right person, it actually wants to make you a better you. That's right. You are complementing each other. I love how one particular person put it. He says, when God put people together, he understood that they were there to complement each other. And I love how this one person put it. He said, God did not make woman out of man's head to be above him, or out of his feet to be below, but to out of his side to complement and work with each other. That is, of course, a healthy relationship. Now, you can take that into friendship, you can take that into family, you can take it into any a business relationship. Either way, you want to enhance that relationship. You want that relationship to work. It's valuable. And one of the things that you're going to do in this relationship is you're going to forgive. Because let me tell you something, there is not a single relationship where, of course, if there's something important to discuss, then feelings and emotions are going to get right raw. And in that moment, the possibility of not offending someone comes either slim or none. But what you need to do is forgive. And when you are wronged in a relationship, even if it is a tough situation, you forgive. You don't do it necessarily for the person, you do it for your own peace of mind. Because if you decide that you are going to nurse a offense, if you decide that you're going to rehearse what happened to you, you know what's going to happen? You're going to make that thing, that little thing, into a mountain. And when it becomes a mountain, it can become a barrier. And before you know it, your relationship is strained and your relationship is failing. Now, that doesn't mean that you shouldn't tell the person what they did. I've discovered something. 9 out of every 10 people, when they realize that they've hurt you, they will immediately say, look, I'm sorry. I didn't realize that I had done that. Now, the narcissist or the selfish person or the person who doesn't really care about your feelings, they're not going to care one way or another. But if you're in a healthy relationship where both of you are working together, then of course you're going to want to, remove the barriers and the offenses. And the first thing you need to do is forgive and let the thing go. Instead of, nursing and rehearsing it and then end up cursing the person, what you do is you reverse it and disperse it and let it go. There's that old song. I used to watch my granddaughter, whose name was Gabby. She's 14 going on 15. But when she was about 3 or 4 years old, my daughter bought her one of those karaoke videos, okay? And one of the songs that she used to sing was that one from Frozen, Let It Go, Let It Go. I used to watch her singing that song. She has a great musical voice, and she would dance away and she'd be singing, Let It Go, and she'd be twirling around, and it was absolutely hilarious. But the message was, let it go. Whatever it is, let it go. It's not worth your time. One of the things that I've learned in life is this, worrying about something isn't going to change the outcome. In fact, 9 times out of 10, the very things that we worry about, the very things that we overthink about will never happen. In a relationship, when you start worrying about things and not deal with the issues, you know what's going to happen? It builds barriers. So a healthy relationship teaches you that very thing, this is who I am, take it or leave it. You actually in a relationship want to deal with your negative and toxic traits. You want to communicate. You want to listen to each other's feelings, thoughts, and emotions. Being the with the right person will actually make you want to be a better you. So that's my simple advice for each and every one of us when it comes to relationships. Very simply this: if you're with the right person, you want to be a better person. I love that one movie called The Master of Disguise, where he says, be a different person, be a better person, be a. And I thought to myself, yeah, that's exactly what you want to be. You want to be a better person. So today, work on those traits in your life, especially if they're pointed out. Now, this is a little thought as I close today. When you are in a right relationship, you know what? You're going to be transparent. You're going to make yourself accountable. You'll want those people to speak into your life because, believe it or not, you are not Mary Poppins. Remember Mary Poppins? She was practically perfect in every way. You are not Mary Poppins. So it is important to also listen to the right person, because from time to time they'll say, you know what, you are not so special today. And when you make yourself accountable and when you make yourself transparent, you know what happens? You do become a better person. And I always encourage that you would have an accountability partner in your life. It could be your spouse, it could be a dear friend who says to you, listen, right now you're heading the wrong direction. In fact, when you go to, let's say, a different, there's organizations called Alcoholics Anonymous and Narcotics Anonymous. You know what they tell you? They tell you to have an accountability partner in your life, because the very thing that got you into trouble, the when you have accountability people, they will tell you, listen, you're heading that direction again, and they will help you to pull yourself out and get back on the right track. And that's, again, healthy relationships. So think about the things that I've talked about today. My name is Robert Dean Steele, and I want to remind you today that if you like what you've been hearing, then of course press the like button and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Also, as well, check out my daily YouTube shorts. Those are those little less than 1 minute vignettes, snapshots of advice that I give every single day. Check those out as well. My name is Robert Dean Steele. Thanks for being with me today, and have yourself a great and godly day. And work on those relationships.